Hi, welcome back to Strong Frames. This is going to be webisode number 2 of our series. We've been looking forward to doing this for a while. It's long awaited. Today's webisode is going to be building a frame. We're going to start with the raw tube set, design, customer file. We're going to go through mitering, welding, all the way through to brazing, and to the point that we get it when we send it to Spectrum for powder coat. So let's go get started. Every customer that we build a frame for is unique. We build all our frames one at a time from start to finish. Once we complete the customer's design, we order their tubes. They go into a box with the customer's name on it. When the customer's turn comes around, we start their frame. In their box is their complete tube set, their folder, and their design. So we're going to take this customer's folder over to the mitering station and get started. Come on along. So the first thing we're going to do when we get started is we're going to review the customer folder. This is going to include the blueprint, which has all of the specific design specs on it that I need, the lengths, measurements, angles, and that type of thing. In the customer folder, here we have the log. This sort of takes us through the whole design process, what the different phases of it were. Also included in the folder is his paint scheme work order, sample paint scheme, and an order form. The order form includes details like the brazons that we're going to be wanting to use, the different tubes which I can reconfirm here, tire clearances, crank arm and chainring clearances, and all the different specific factors that I need to keep at the top of my mind when I'm building the frame. One of the keys to not making mistakes is to review in detail the folder, remember who the customer is, why they're buying the bike, what the compelling reasons for this purchase are, and what their goals are. So after going through that and reviewing it, I start to remove the tubes from the box and we'll start to spec those out so that we can start cutting. So the first thing I'm going to do is pull the tubes out of the box. These tubes have been checked in and QC'd. We've made sure that they're straight so that there's no major run out, and we've made sure that they're dent and ding free. So here we have the 3 main tubes. These are the chain stays, seat stays, bottom bracket, and the dropouts. We'll cut the head tube out of some longer head tube stock later. So we'll start with the main 3 tubes, the front triangle tubes. The first thing I want to do is identify them. We want to identify the down tube, top tube, and seat tube, and we also want to identify the butts. This paint on these tubes indicates what side the short butt is, and then in the case of the seat tube, we have a external butt, which is up here, so we'll want to cut the bottom bracket on the other end. We never trim the top. The other things that I'm going to do are going to be, I'm going to mark out the butts on the main tubes, and when I miter, we'll start with the bottom of the seat tube, which is a 90-degree cut. We'll go to the 90-degree cut on the down tube, then we'll cut the head tube, down tube, the head tube, top tube, and the seat tube, top tube, in that order. The first thing we're going to do is cut the seat tube. The measurements are on the seat tube, so what I want to do is I want to mark where the cutter is going to come down on the tube. In this case, it's 550 millimeters. I'm going to mark a rough cut that I'm going to take off on the chop saw so that I'm not cutting a bunch of extra material off. So I'm going to go to the chop saw, make a quick cut, we'll load it into the mill, and we'll do our first miter joint. So this cut's 90 degrees. I'll line the miter up, the cut mark up. Firm up the vise, set on my auto feed, hit on, and now we'll just wait for the cutter to do the work. So here's the first cut. So you can see it's the bottom bracket cut, that's the fit. Later on we'll be deburring this inside and out, cleaning it inside and out to prepare it for welding. So now what I'll do is I'll go ahead, I'll finish mitering the front triangle, and then we'll move to the rear half of the bike. So that's the front triangle. Next thing we're going to do is cut the head tube to length. We like to cut it a couple millimeters long so that when the bike is done and welded and we're facing it, we don't face it below the original dimension that we've designed around. So I'll mark it about 1.5 millimeters longer than I need it. And then we'll go over to the cold saw and we'll cut it. The cold saw is the tool for the job because it produces a cut that doesn't heat the tube and is nearly perfectly perpendicular to the tube so that we face off as little material as possible when that time comes. So the front triangle's done. Now we move to the back half where we'll start with the chain stays. We'll miter and weld on the tips. We will miter the bottom bracket in and then go from there to the C stays.